Welcome back to the Spidey Files, and I have a video today that may or may not ruffle some feathers in the conspiracy theory world. But I wanted to talk about this because I talk about this regularly with my friends and sometimes my family whenever they're wondering why their son is sounding like an absolute lunatic talking about absolutely nothing. But I wanted to bring you here so that maybe through engagement, I could get some of your thoughts. Maybe you could tell me exactly why I'm completely wrong about every point. Or maybe you're one of the many people who were in the boat of believing aliens and their journey to Earth and how they've interacted with us. And maybe you'll be completely changed in your opinion by the end of it. Not really my goal. I just want to put this out there, because it's something that I think it's a fun topic and is certainly more fun to talk about. But let's get right into it. So basically, aliens have never come to Earth. Before you guys say anything, Venom is the exception. Venom, you know what? Me and Venom have had a very, very rough history. I don't think Venom likes me much anymore. In fact, I think he's got a new guy now. I think he is with a new man, someone named Eddie. I work with them, really big guy. Anyways, I'm getting completely sidetracked. Whew, aliens. I do not think aliens have ever come to Earth. So, immediately, let's get into some of the reasons, most predominant reasons as to why. And whenever I say evidence, I'm not literally sitting here being Indiana Jones or like anything like that, giving you evidence. I'm just talking about the evidence, that is you could go and find on the internet for yourself. So starting back way in the beginning, right, you got ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs depicting a lot of different, for instance, helicopters, depicting ships, depicting this and that. Now, there are people who will sit here and say, well, that is actually the result of multiple generations of hieroglyphs being placed on top of each other, and the unique layering has caused images that we recognize in today's day. I don't buy that at all. Most people don't buy that at all. Get that crap out of here. Just kidding. I'm sure they're way more intelligent than me on the hieroglyphs, so I actually have no idea. But moving a little bit further, you immediately get to the pyramids. A lot of people think the pyramids were built by aliens. If you look at the pyramids, miraculously, the 3 points of them line up specifically with the speed of light. How is that possible? I was able to invent web shooters, and I don't even think that I would be able to do anyways. But what's even more interesting, not even with the alien stuff, but just getting into the pyramids for a second, is that I want to believe that it was last year, 2025, 2024, somewhere around there, they did laser scanning of these pyramids. And whenever they did that, they discovered these 4 giant pillars that were going down. And I don't know if that was real or not, but that was really, really cool to me. So anyways, people think that, oh, there's no way that the slaves at the time were able to build those, blah, 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 blah. And I'm gonna get into my theories on that later in the video to dissuade the, kind of break down the argument of aliens coming here and anything like that. Right? Moving along, you got paintings in the 15, 14, 1300s, some of the 1600s, depicting UFOs in the sky. There is a very famous one, I do not know the name of it, but I will put a picture of it up here right now, where basically, you can look for yourself, it is very clearly depicting a whole bunch of bullshit in the sky right there, and what that is, I don't know. We've never seen anything like that, so I don't know. Right, but it's very, very peculiar to paint something like that. A lot of people would argue immediately, whoa, this is the mind of somebody who's creative. None of this was seen, it was creative. Okay, what, maybe. I mean, who's to say that an artist couldn't create something that basically, they paint it right now, but 1,000 years in the future, it has much more significance, even though it's completely random to them at the time. They just wanted to get, wacky with it, so to speak. Moving way, way along, because surprisingly, I'm not as well versed in my aliens as alien knowledge as I would like to be. Alien lore. Alien and Earth lore, so to speak. But we're gonna move to around World War I. End of World War I. Allegedly, there's a Nazi pilot, German pilot, I don't know if he was a Nazi or not, and I want to, maybe Austrian, I know that he was originally not with America, named General Byrd, right? General Byrd flew all the way to Agartha, right? He found the tall whites, right? He found the UFO. But anyways, what's really, really interesting that no matter if you believe in conspiracies or not, cannot be disputed is that the Germans, the Nazis, going into World War II, were able to engineer some of the most prolific and world-altering inventions in terms of aviation and vehicular technologies, weapon technologies. Um, Maybe to take it a step further, depending on what you believe and what you believe about the Nazis' capabilities, supernatural technologies. I don't really want to get into that because it doesn't have to do anything with aliens. Anyways, that's a video for another day for sure. But basically, a lot of people think that there were alien UFOs, and so allegedly alien UFOs were recovered in South America, in Antarctica, and a lot of different places around the world. Number of them, and basically, according to mythologies of the World Wars, the Nazis were able to reverse engineer these said alien spacecrafts into basically the turbine engine and a whole bunch of other BS. And then fast forward into like the 1980s, you had people reverse engineering allegedly a alien piece of technology to get the first microchip. Believe it or not, there's a microchip in pretty much every piece of technology now, proving that it is one of the most vital inventions of its time. Microchips don't make sense. The technology behind them doesn't make sense. We're a species that came from rocks. Sticks and stones. We hit the rocks together and we were like, ooh! And now we got microchips. Now we got Bluetooth. Who even comes up with that name anyways? It's so stupid. What does a Bluetooth have to do with anyways? I'm getting so sidetracked. The aliens are allegedly, they crash landed long ago, thousands of years ago. I don't know. I didn't do any research into this. I'm literally just coming out here with the information that I do know. And by the way, you can go and fact check most of this because most of this you're going to be like, all right, Spider-Man, maybe you knew a little bit more that you were talking about than I thought. Anyways, so you fast forward, Nazis didn't win the war, but they did invent some pretty crazy stuff. Right? And talks of even crazier stuff that me and you, the average person, will probably never know if it existed or not. Not in this life, at least. But what's really, really cool is at the end of World War II, the Americans, my home country, woo, were like, you know what? We are not going to let those dirty Russians, Soviets, USSR get their hands on these Nazi scientists who were reverse engineering the aliens. So that's exactly what they did. They brought Admiral Byrd over here, which to those of you who don't believe is our Gartha story, why'd they bring him over here? You know, a very wise person once told me, what was his name? Dr. Octavius. I hope he's doing well. Last he told me he was working on some type of prosthesis thing. Probably not a big deal. Really nice guy, by the way. One of the few people in my life I can still count on. But regardless, what I hate, I just say something stupid and then I just the Russians. That's right, the Russians. They wanted to not allow the Russians to get that, and a lot of people, logical people who don't want to have any type of whimsy will be like, oh, well, they brought them over specifically for the aeronautical and space technological advancements because we would need to go to the moon. I don't even believe we went to the moon to begin with. So that was completely a lie. But the Nazis weren't a lie. They were brought over here with Project Paperclip. If you do not know what that is, go and do some research into that and you're going to be like, whoa! But you're not going to be shocked with everything that's been going on. You're going to be like, that sounds about right. Right, maybe 15 years ago you would have read that and been like, oh. And just to give you, so you don't have to go look it up, at the end of World War II, the Project Paperclip was basically instated, and a lot of the Nazi scientists were conscripted over to the U.S. military to come work for the U.S. military to pardon them of all of their war crimes, and they lived a really good, happy life, and they were very rich. Remember that. Remember, they'll arrest you for so much less, but if you know how to reverse engineer alien UFOs, they'll give you a free ride. Imagine that. So that's all you need to do. Remember, if you're just wanting to commit a whole bunch of felonies and do a whole bunch of horrible, heinous things, know how to work on alien spaceships. Anyways, so we're going to move on from that. You get into the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. This is prime freaking time for alien abductions. You got people being abducted. You got blue beams with bovines being lifted into the air. the white and black cows all over America, woo, floating up into the air, right? Why do they need the cows? We'll never know. Why do they need to tractor beam them? We'll never know. If you could travel to space from here, we'll never know. Right? You got the Roswell incident. Cannot forget about that one. The more than famous weather balloon that crash landed. I don't know what I think about that one. My spider senses say that that wasn't an alien. It was probably just I don't even know. I can't even give you an explanation more than anyone else is able to. But anyways, you have all this stuff going on, right? And you, even in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, some of the 90s, some even now in the early 2000s in modern day, you have stories of alien abductions, right? You got guys who were literally abducted. The aliens are man, that's awful. And they're putting stuff in his ear. One of them was on a Netflix documentary, but of course I watched all of this stuff way long ago in my exploration. Once Venom attached to me, I just really felt the need to learn about aliens in a very more scientifically advanced way. So, of course, I watched alien documentaries on the Nat Geo Wild and History channel. Anyways, right, you got guys going out in the woods in an alien spaceship. It's burning them. It's putting like a square, dot pattern on his chest. And the burn composition is unlike anything that the doctors have ever seen. So, what's going on? Right? And in the modern day, there is so much evidence. You got videos out the wazoo. No one knows if anything is real due to AI anymore, so who knows? Basically, videos of alien spaceships, of UFOs, and blah, 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 allegedly. Right? You got the U.S. government coming out in 2016. You got the U.S. government in the 2020s. You got the U.S. government even recently releasing all of these UFO docs. Oh, there's a Tic Tac, inescapable, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't remember which company it was. I might try to find a picture and put it up here. If not, don't be disappointed. But I specifically remember seeing a picture of some type of Tic Tac looking thing with like all of these exhaust ports all around it, where like it could, and it's like moving around within a room, and it's like rotating, right? And it's like that video, I think allegedly was from the 80s, early 80s, right? So what's going on with that? Don't know, but I'm not going to answer that question right now because I don't even know, and I don't want to get into that because that's for later in the video. So anyways, what's going on with that? A lot of you guys would say Spider-Man, clearly it's aliens. What do you mean there's never been aliens? Look at the evidence! You know what I think? I think that's lame. And I think it's an excuse. That's right, Eddie, if you're listening, tell Venom that he stank a little bit in whatever he was on. Even though I, felt a little bit better and was able to perpetually have any better dance moves than anyone else. It wasn't my kind of thing. Anyways, I'm messing. I'm tripping. I'm playing around way too much. I think it's a lazy cop out to say that. But and let me. I love the idea of aliens. I love the idea of the big. Kind of look like a big gray right now. Got the eyes on me, right? Big red. So, that's what MJ calls me. Anyways, you hear the stories. The U.S. government's talking about 4 different types of aliens. You got the Nordic tall whites, right? I don't even know. I don't even want to get into that because I don't believe that for a millisecond. You're gonna be so. I wanna give you a little bit of what I think. Right, and you may actually hear this and think that this is so much dumber, more contrived, and makes less sense overall than aliens, and that's completely fine. But again, I don't believe aliens have ever come here, so this is what I believe. I want to start off with this. I do not believe that any species capable of basically intergalactic, instantaneous travel would be able to get to Earth and crash land. All of the excuses, but our magnetic sphere around the Earth disrupted the blah, blah, blah. Dude, you would account for that. If you were smart enough to get here, smart enough to account for that, right? So, boom, dead in the water. And then immediately, how are they going to crash? Military tech, that's not going to be able to do anything. And oh, yes, even I sit here and I think of examples like, maybe these aliens weren't warfaring and they didn't have anything against it. Maybe there are aliens, I don't know. But, I would be more willing to start back at the beginning with you guys with a different example. In the beginning, with the hieroglyphs, I think it's possible that in one way or another, and I want to be very clear about this, the past, the future, and the present between them, all of that is not really so much a linear line. It kind of is to us because our biological monkey brains can't really process any more than that, but it's more like a circle. Yeah, more like a circle, just like that. And it's kind of all happening at once, right? And I know this, and a lot of people know this, due to the fact that, well, regularly people all across the planet forever have dreams of stuff that maybe goes on in a day and then it happens. You have a dream of something that happens a week from now, a month from now, years from now. You know, constantly people are able to effectively see glimpses into the future. A lot of people are. A lot of people are. You know, so, and I'm not, that's maybe a bad example. There's maybe people out there who are like, oh, well, this would have been a way better example, but that's my example. That's really all I can think of with that right now. My point being is, even within the stories of Revelation and John, and essentially God showing John visions of the future, which I think to be our very soon present, right? They're able to see that, right? So do I think that maybe there were crafts existing at that time in which they were making hieroglyphs about? I'm not certain, but I do want to include this very, very important point. There are a lot of biblical scholars out there, and scholars in general, who are not theologists, who are not religious, who would argue that we are not the first technologically advanced installation of humans on this planet. Basically, I think it's, I don't even know the name for Alabor. I don't know, the mythological snake eating itself, right? Kind of the idea here is basically we are on a cycle where, yeah, we're not going to make it forever. We're going to end, but that doesn't mean that we're going to end, right? And what's really interesting is we are actually living in a day and age where we can, with our own eyes, see the next stage of what the next cycle will be, which gets into a lot of interesting points. So let's, just go right into it. If we are using logic to assume that we are not the first humans who are technologically advanced, it could be, fair to assume, maybe if you are religious, to take into account Adam and Eve, right? Maybe there are other people who are existing, but they're not what Adam and Eve are, right? Because we are creating something that is effectively going to be alive, thinking basically like a human, but not a human, which I don't even have to say what that is. It's AI, right? And if we were to wipe ourselves completely out in the next 15, 20 years, well, by that point, AI will be able to solve all of the ways that it needs to live on forever on Earth, whether we are here or not. Effectively creating the next cycle. We have created the next cycle, right? So let's ask ourselves, if we are not the first advanced species on this planet, wouldn't there be evidence of them? Woo! Bing, 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 bing. There you go. Whenever the Nazis, and this is my opinion, that we are not the first. In fact, we could be the second, we could be the third, we could be the fourth, the fifth. There is evidence that pre-Noah flood, there could have been an advanced society. Plato discusses Atlantis. He talks about boxes with gears and black windows displaying images. What does that sound like to you? Right? So obviously, there is the idea that there could have been technologically advanced civilizations in the past, and every single time they meet their demise. Every single time. Right? And somebody can correct me if I'm completely wrong about this, but I remember seeing a study that talked about the idea that basically without maintenance, almost everything that modern humans have created would crumble to dust and not exist within 150 to 300 years, leaving virtually no evidence. Let's add a worldwide flood on top of that, and a whole bunch of other geological events and geographical events that completely alter the landscape of the Earth, destroying everything, and then give it thousands of years for the next version. Right? There's going to be nothing left. But let's give a pretty cool example. us modern humans, is a billionaire, elongated muskrat. Elon Musk, of course. Used to be a buddy of mine, Tony Stark. I think they had a falling out over a number of reasons, mainly for the fact that Tony's dead. But anyways, elongated muskrat hypothetically spends trillions of dollars to build the most advanced bunker ever. I mean, this shit is rapture proof. This shit is everything proof. The world crumbles, metaphorically, literally, whatever, and this bunker makes it, right? And he's put like 7 of them all around the world. And in each bunker, he puts the most advanced hypercar in the most advanced aeronautical jet of the century. He puts the most advanced, like, every piece of technology. He puts the most advanced airplane, the most advanced Tesla, the most advanced this, the most advanced that. Bunch of BS in these vaults. We go extinct shortly after, for the most part. Maybe a few of us survive. Maybe, obviously, in my example, it's AI that lives after, so they wouldn't give a crap about a whole bunch of cars and stuff. But hypothetically, we're the ones that, humans are right here. We're coming before humans. So all of us in Elon Musk, we're some sub-proto-human whatever thing. We go extinct, and now it's humans. So Adam and Eve are right here. You go all the way through the timeline. It's 2026 now. You're right here, and all of this stuff. And actually, we're gonna go back to like 1919, whatever. I think they started finding all of these alien crafts, right? And basically, in this hypothetical, what they are actually finding is elongated muskrats vaults with his hyper-technological, most advanced technological inventions of the time. And guess what? Even though the Earth has shifted all types of ways and blown up and shot lava everywhere and had tsunamis and earthquakes, they've survived. And these new humans are barely technologically advanced. They're not even 100 years out of the Industrial Revolution yet. And they just found a vault with a Tesla in it. They don't even know how to make the fender on that Tesla yet. But they're going to figure it out. And by the 1930s, they start to make some headway. They are able to reverse engineering the elongated muskrat's big private jet, make the first turbine engine. Using the Tesla, they're able to make, better engine, blah, 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 hypothetical, blah, 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 blah. And they reverse engineer something that they think can only be alien technology because of how technologically advanced it is, and it's been hidden away for thousands of years, right? Thousands of years that it can only be aliens. But no, it was the predecessor the whole freaking time, right? And then, okay, so that kind of sums that up. And with, for instance, getting into the pyramids, I don't think with aliens. I think that the idea that another species would come all the way over here and do all of that stuff for us is completely just a cop out for something way cooler, which would be that there were many extinction events, most of which were mentioned in the Bible, the Quran, and other instances of written texts throughout the Eastern Hemisphere, and so on and so forth. Many, many world-shattering events. Right? Whew, need to catch my breath. It is harder to breathe in this thing than you may imagine. Right? It is way, way cooler to imagine that the predecessor who died off, those were the ones who made the pyramids, right? And whatever the pyramids were, I mean, if you look at the pyramids from a topographical point of view, from the top, if you don't know what that means, it resembles a much larger microchip. And if you know anything about the past of these ancient pyramids, they were once lined with gold, and the tip of them was gold, right? Which is a great conductor, right? So scientists don't even believe that these pyramids were used for tombs, right? These basically could have been their equivalent of a giant nuclear power reactor. Much more efficient than anything we've created. It doesn't need to destroy and drink all the water and do all this other crap. It just needs to harness energy directly from our beautiful, beautiful sun that God has given us. Right? And for whatever reason, they, went extinct. They had an extinction event. Could have been localized. It could have been the entire planet. There's no way to know. But basically, we're going to move forward now. So I've talked about the Nazis, given a hypothetical there, where they were never actually discovering alien stuff. They were just discovering stuff from the past versions of us that went extinct. right? Talked about Egyptians, and basically, I don't believe it was aliens, but rather predecessors of humanity with advanced technologies, not just with the Egyptian pyramids, but different places all around the world resemble architecture that is completely unprecedented and impossible. Places in India, places in South America, don't even get me started on, for instance, the Incans or maybe even the ancient Sumerians who had a lot of interesting theories about what was going on. But it's beyond the point. Right, so I've talked about all of that. So now we're going to move into the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Right, a lot of the stories, and these are the stories that you're going to see on like Netflix documentaries. It's a guy, and he's like in his 30s or something in his bed, and then he's like, well, I was in my bed, and then 8 or 9 aliens, big and tall and scary, they came in and they were touching me and they were talking to me. Okay, I want you guys to be open-minded here for a second. I don't know how much more open-minded you need to be if you believe that those were aliens in the room to believe this, but use your imagination and close your eyes and picture this with me real quick. Imagine those 8 or 9 aliens are just guys in regular suits, but they're all holding like sticks or something in their hand. And one of the guys, and by the way, this is in the 80s, stuff like that. One of the guys in the back has got like a backpack on, right? All of the other guys who are the aliens have got like these headphones on that block all frequencies from entering their noggin. But they're all wearing microphones so they can talk to each other and stuff like that. But the microphones and the frequencies don't allow for anyone else to hear what they're saying, right? So they want to screw with this guy. They could very easily go door to door in the house for the people that they don't want to screw with and just shoot them with a frequency, make them go to sleep. But then whenever they go into this guy's room, the guy with the backpack is emitting a type of frequency that alters his vision due to some type of vibration, whether it be a lower or higher vibration, which again, everything that our brain is taking in is vibration and is light reflecting off of and refracting off of other stuff, right? So you can, in theory, shift that and alter that using vibrations, right? So essentially, there would be a guy with a backpack wearing, the whole thing, and he's using vibrations to make to this guy laying on the bed, all of them appear as gray, tall aliens. Maybe that sounds ridiculous, but a lot of them will talk about going to facilities and stuff that's being put in them and they're being tested on. Really no need, for aliens to do that, but there is the need for humans to do that whenever all of that and human testing is very, very illegal. What better excuse than to lie to the public and say that, oh, we're not testing on anyone but these pesky aliens. They keep abducting people and doing brain surgeries and putting microchips in their ears. Shucks. What a coincidence, right, guys? As always with the U.S. government, always there with the coincidences. Really, 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 really interesting to think about, right? And I'm not literally saying that there was a backpack emitting frequencies, but what I am saying that it is much more likely that there were mind-altering technologies being used during this time period to basically give people the excuse to do human testing. Right, nowadays, we know that people are just, doing whatever. They don't even care anymore. We don't even care anymore. It doesn't matter about the Epstein list. None of that matters. None of it is anything. It doesn't matter. Okay? But I will say this. I don't know why so much is going on in the background. That's kind of disturbing me, but we're going to ignore it. Right? And I can't even see anything out of these visors, so anything could be going on. Whatever. I don't think the aliens like me talking about them. At all. But no, so basically, and then with the abductions and stuff like that, I don't think that people are going up into ships or anything like that. I think that you could alter someone's mind into believing that that's going on, but they're just being put into a van, taken to a facility, and then being taken back, usually 90 minutes, 80 minutes, 70 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours a night, and then they wake up in the morning, blah, 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 but there is an elapsed time period between that. Whenever I think of alien species, I think of the ability to do these types of surgeries, whatever it is, probably a lot quicker than that. Right, and whenever you think about it, you're like, oh, well, yeah, it probably wouldn't take them 90 minutes. It probably, anyways, I don't know, I'm not an alien. Maybe, this whole thing is just... I hope anyone has seen my point about anything with this, but this, is something that I choose to believe in. And guess what, guys? Even a few weeks ago, and I mean this honest to God, on Jesus Christ's name, and I say that, Jesus Christ's name, I was out. Huge storm where I live. Huge storm. It's 1:30 in the morning. I look out, and in the night sky, and I swear on everything, there is two green dots next to each other as far up as you would see a passenger airplane, the highest that they would be. You know, whenever the passenger airplane is just that tiny little dot in the sky, and you can see the tiny little trails behind it. That's how far up there it is. But the lights are so bright, and you can almost see them like kind of shifting, almost like they're like jumping spider eyes, where they're like rotating around, and you can see them like focalizing in different points. But basically, the lightning is flashing, and it's still not so high up there that it's like above all of the clouds. So there's still clouds behind it with lightning, and it's flashing, and we see the shape of it, and it is almost like an X shaped with a very clear cockpit, but it is like an X shaped. And it's huge. It's a very big craft. And what's really interesting is that the green lights completely turned off. And by the way, the green lights weren't blinking. They were stagnant lights, and this aircraft was completely still in the sky. It was not moving at all. It wasn't going forward, backwards, anything. Completely still in the sky. It wasn't making any noise like a drone whatsoever. And we were looking at it, the green lights shut off, we see the lightning flash behind it, and that's whenever we really saw the shape of it, and then it takes off. Do I think that was an alien? No. Do I think that the Tic Tacs and all of the stuff that the US government has been releasing to us are aliens? Honestly, I don't think so. I want to introduce to you a crazier theory. I want to introduce to you a theory that I don't know if many people have heard before or thought about. I'm sure that I'm not the first person to think about this. You know, I did invent the first web shooters. I'm not going to lie. No one else has done that. No one else needed to do that because it's not important. Anyways, I want to introduce you a theory that I was thinking about the other day. Maybe it's completely crazy, but I actually think that maybe it's not. So let's talk about CERN for a second. If you don't know what CERN is, CERN, Switzerland, is the current home of the largest particle collider, hadron collider, whatever it is. But one of the objectives of this scientific location, and by the way, I'm very versed in particle accelerators. I actually had to blast my buddy Harry out of the Venom suit, always with Venom. He's always giving me trouble. Using a particle accelerator, blah, we're not going to get into it. It's just a little reference. Anyways, yeah. So hear me out on this. And I'm getting really sweaty in here. It's one of the many ways that aliens get to you. I'm just not even gonna make a joke about that. I'm just getting too hot at this point. I gotta wrap this up. Okay. Sorry, I've killed some time. Basically, think about this. One of the main objectives of CERN, Switzerland right now is to not only find the guard particle, but potentially open portals to new realities. That's something that they talk about. Allegedly, they've opened, not could or want to open, but have opened portals to other realities. What if a time machine was never what you needed? Many philosophers and people into quantum physics believe in the idea of the quantum multiverse, the idea that everything that could exist is existing and it's happening infinitely, including me and you, including me on this microphone. There are infinite universes with infinite worlds where I am, not worlds, but maybe one Earth, where I am doing this exact same thing and saying these exact same things, but also infinitely I'm doing something completely different, and infinitely something completely different altogether is going on. As opposed to needing a time machine to go into our past or our future, what if we could send something into other realities where it is already years in the future to see specific outcomes in that future, see what led to those outcomes in that future, in that reality, and then alter our own timeline to make and manufacture that reality here? This is what I'm saying. Imagine this. Basically, there is a young man who is rising in popularity, and a lot of people are starting to center around his beliefs. You are somewhat worried about him, so you send a tic-tac-looking drone, with no person in it, of course, that is capable of going any direction almost instantly, so that it is not really able to be caught or captured, and often is viewed from the other reality's perspective as completely disappearing, never to be found without a trace at all, or any exhaust fumes. You send this drone to another reality where you see now at this point that this guy 40 years in the future is the president, or doing something monumental and leading people away from something that maybe people who are evil don't want people to do, right? Or want people to do. He's leading people away from things that they... You get my point. So basically they just cap him, they just kill him. He hasn't done any of that yet here, but they shoot him because they know the outcome. They know a potential outcome, And so they don't need a time machine. They don't have to go into our future. They can just look at equally probable realities, and it makes complete sense. Like, why else spend, I mean, at this point, basically trillions of dollars on this CERN project, on this particle accelerator, on any of this? If you want to open portals to other realities, what's the point of that, other than to see what's going on in the other realities? And if the quantum multiverse theory, if quantum physics, if all of that has any validity to it at all, then everything is happening infinitely. And if they have already opened portals, then they've sent stuff into said portals. And I want you to take this into consideration. If everything is happening infinitely right now, everything is happening infinitely, that means that we are not the only versions of humans thinking about building a particle accelerator, going into equally probable realities where it may be in the past to discover our past, or going into the future to manipulate and change our reality. None of that. If all of these realities are completely different than ours, those drones, those UFOs are all going to look drastically different from each other. None of them are aliens. None of them are sentient species from other planets. They're all just us. They are all just us sending drones elsewhere. Just like if we are actually legitimately using the particle accelerator in CERN, Switzerland, to open up these portals, we are probably not sending a plethora of people into there. We're sending drones. Our best drones. The best drones that anyone has ever seen. Capable of movement that no one could even comprehend, other than seeing in sci-fi science fiction movies. But again, we are not the only ones doing it. That is why I think there's so many UFOs. Is basically, we are nearing the end. And I think that a lot of versions of us are trying to figure out how they can manipulate reality to do one of two things. Stop everything from happening, which I believe is inevitable. You stop one thing, which is going to mean that this other thing now leads to that thing, so you have to stop both things, and then if you go back to stop that thing, then a third thing's going to happen, and then boom, 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 way down the line, it's inevitable. So basically it leads into the first option no matter what. They are trying to bring about the Antichrist. I'm just going to come out right and say it. Basically, they are trying to push us into biblical prophecy. For any of you who are Christians and are versed on any of the end-day prophecies, you know that there's a lot of them that have come to fruition recently, and even more so that will come to fruition very, very, very shortly. Very, very interesting to think about. But it also goes into line with the idea that, you know, we're very soon going to end, but it's going to be another continuation. But anyways, that's basically my theory with all of it, is there are no aliens from other planets. I mean, there are UFOs, certainly, but it's all just us. And, you know, going even further back, maybe you don't like the idea of a predecessor civilization. Okay, we're the first. But that doesn't stop the fact that basically, if we are trying to open portals to go and visit other realities again are potentially not only going to be in our present, but in our future and our past. Well, if they're in our past, think about it like this. We are in 2026 right now, but we want to go and we want to see the dinosaurs. We send a UFO-looking thing with the most advanced technology ever back into the, you know, Jurassic period or whatever. But lo and behold, out of nowhere, could not be accounted for, an asteroid just comes and clips it. And clips right through the interdimensional portal-opening MacGuffin device. Now it's trapped there. But on that Earth, everything is going to happen the exact same thing that it did for us. And basically, we're that, you know, drone thing, so that these people using a particle accelerator to open portals to go research our past is now trapped in an alternate reality where there's not going to be people for millions of years. And then whenever there are people, in 1919, there are going to be Nazis and not Nazis, but the Iron Cross is going to discover this in South America. They're going to take it back to Germany. They're going to reverse engineer it. They're going to turn it and use it to almost win the war. And from that point, Project Paperclip ensues. Everything ensues as normal. It was never aliens. It was always people messing around with things that will inevitably lead to their demise. That is what I think. I want to hear what you guys think in the comments. If you guys like this video, go and for sure check out some of my other videos. I talk about a whole list of crazy stuff all the time, but you know, it's kind of what I love to do. So for sure, if you like it, leave a like, leave a subscribe, stick around, and I will hopefully be posting more content like this going forward in terms of talking about random crap and getting completely mind jumbled and whatever. But I'll leave you guys with this. Always remember to be the best person that you can be. It makes more of an importance than you could ever imagine. And that's it. Y'all have a good day.